A question on Saudi Arabia in light of these allegations that are made by Zacharias Moussaoui that the Saudis helped finance and had contact with the 9/11 hijackers. What is the White House position on that section of the 9/11 report that has been classified that may or may not shed some light on this issue?
Mm-hmm. Well, John, I can tell you that the administration, in response to a specific congressional request, last year asked the intelligence community to conduct a classification review of that material. And we did so in keeping with the standard procedure for determining whether or not it's appropriate to release classified material. All I can tell you is that process is ongoing.
Do you have a sense of when that process will be finished?
I don't have a timeline for when that classification process would be completed.
And what do you make of these allegations? Obviously, they come from a, convicted terrorist. Does the White House believe there's anything to the suggestion that the Saudis may have been more involved?
Well, John, I'm not going to comment on those assertions from somebody who, as you point out, has been convicted of very serious terrorism charges. I'm just going to reiterate something that we have said many times, and I think that was on display when the President stopped in Riyadh on his way back from India last week. And specifically, that is that the United States and Saudi Arabia maintain a strong counterterrorism relationship as a key element of our broad and strategic partnership.
So this process has begun, and now it's at the top level of that process. It's in front of the what's called the Interagency Security Classifications Appeal Panel. Now they review this request, review the 28 pages for whether they should be declassified, and then they make a recommendation to the President. Tom Jewell in November said that he was told to expect a decision sometime this winter. I talked to Dan Christensen. He's not so sure it's going to be that quick. And there's no timetable on this and a lot of things where the government can kind of run the clock out and go to four corners and just let time tick by. I'm not really optimistic about this because if you take a look at the panel that comprises this board, as a representative, senior level representatives appointed by the Department of State, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, the National Archives, the Officer of the Director of National Intelligence, the National Security Advisor, and the Director of the CIA can opt to appoint a voting member. So this is not a panel of American peers. This, if you look at that list, I'm sure you're thinking the same thing I am. It's kind of the usual suspects of who want to keep this classified and who may personally, professionally benefit by keeping it classified. So it's not real sure that, other than maybe the National Archives, or the rest of that list, you look at it and you're not really optimistic that those representatives representing their respective department is going to do the right thing and recommend. And even if they do recommend, we're right back to it being a recommendation to the President. Now, if it did happen to be very extraordinary and I think would amp up the pressure on Obama to declassify it, but I think I'm not really optimistic about that route, which is why we're really encouraging people who want to see these pages released to get involved. And it doesn't take much time at all to get involved.